Hello everybody. So I am continuing my general update of my spreadsheet. I have it organized across more than a dozen of sectors, all hyper-growth sectors, growing fast sector. And today I want to analyze the e-commerce stocks, the high-growth e-commerce stocks. And so, of course, as always, the thing I'm trying to do here is figure out which one is the cheapest, which one is the most interesting right now, who wins. And this is using my usual spreadsheet, enterprise value over gross profit over revenue growth, coupled with rule of 40 is how I judge a stock. Ideally, I want EV over GP over RG to be the cheapest possible, the lowest possible. Under 0.3 is something that I generally consider good and I consider a buy. But I also want a rule of 40 to be above 40 or very, very close to a 40. And so you can see some pretty popular stocks actually don't make the cut here, interestingly, right? And ideally for forward revenue growth, right, I want a business to compound very fast. So ideally, I would want to see the growth at above 30%. 30% being for me a minimum threshold for a growth stock to justify owning that stock in my portfolio. Unless, of course, you look at, for example, Amazon. Amazon is a big tech company. Amazon is a beacon of stability in a portfolio. Amazon is also AWS, is also an advertising company. Amazon is a little different. It's a whole different animal. Amazon is an entire different animal than all of these other e-commerce stocks. So I'll put Amazon in kind of like a case of its own. But anyways, let's get started. C Limited, the first stock is C Limited. This stock, like all of the e-commerce stocks, by the way, this stock rose very hard right after the events of 2020. I think I still have to be careful what I say. After the events of 2020, all of the e-commerce stocks went from a crazy run because people shopped from home. C Limited went through a crazy run even more because C Limited is three companies in one. They have a C Money, which is a money a fintech company, a payments company, like digital banking company. They have the e-commerce website, which is called Shopify, and then they have Garena, and Garena was making the most popular video game in the history of video game, which was called Free Fire, and Free Fire was a mobile game, extremely popular in India. Anyways, they were out of luck in 2022, 2023. Indian government started banning Free Fire. I think they got it back, but I'm not so sure. And the stock kind of went through a valley of despair like many of these e-commerce stocks. And it has recovered a little bit, although we've seen some weakness in that stock price in the past few months. When I look at the numbers, EV over GP over RG 0.24, that's cheap. Rule of 40 is not exactly there at 37. We're not exactly there. So I find it cheap. I find it interesting. Perhaps for your portfolio, you need exposure or you want exposure to Southeast Asia, very dynamic market, very high growth market, youthful market, grows very fast. So if you're looking for that exposure, it might be a good idea, but me, as I'll get to in a second, I much prefer MercadoLibre. MercadoLibre is kind of my winner out of this spreadsheet, the sleep well at night, the ultimate sleep well at night stock. Let me very briefly talk about Shopify. So, of course, Shopify, from a small business selling, I don't know, cupcakes or whatever to IPO. That's what Shopify is, right? And Shopify, for example, runs enormous websites. They run figs.com, for the for the scrubs. They run Tesla. They run the Tesla merchandise store. They run a lot of public company stores. Not all of them come to my head right now, but a lot of very large public company stores are built on Shopify, and so you have large public companies who build on Shopify, and so I don't doubt that they have a great platform. They also have an iconic leader. They also did a lot of crazy investment in the early 2020s that did not pan out to be the best idea. But all of this doesn't matter. I like the growth, I like the profits, I like the rule of 40, but I absolutely hate this valuation. I cannot possibly justify enterprise value to forward gross profit of a 32x. I can't possibly justify it. Unfortunately, Shopify, like so many Canadian stocks, suffers from this Canadian stock premium where these Canadian companies are so expensive. compared to what you get in the public market in the US, for example. I can't explain why this stock is so expensive. It's, I mean, come on, it's nearly 3 times as expensive as Amazon, right? I mean, it's 5-6 times more expensive. Actually, 6 times more expensive than C Limited. So it's pointless. The price to me is nosebleed. I would not be interested in Shopify just on the basis of valuation. Now, moving on to kind of my favorite, which I own, and it is MercadoLibre. MercadoLibre is what I call, it's a steady Eddie stock. It's the Amazon of Latin America. They're doing very well in Argentina, very well in Mexico. They're the absolute leader in Brazil. They're actually competing a little bit against C Limited and Amazon in Brazil, but they've won the race. MercadoLibre, in my view, has won the race. And of course, they do logistics, they do e-commerce, and they also have a payments platform. Their payments platform is actually very popular with micro businesses. Like I don't know, like somebody selling, a stand on the beach, or having a little booth or a little food business. Micro businesses making less than $3,000 a year. A lot of them just use Mercado Pago to do those payments. They're the leader in that region of the world, and that region of the world, I think, is also poised for a lot of growth, especially Brazil. Argentina is headed in the right direction. Mexico is actually a pretty high growth country. It grows faster than the US in e-commerce. Keep in mind these areas. The US is kind of a mature market for e-commerce. Europe, same thing, kind of a mature market for e-commerce. There's more growth to be had in, say, Southeast Asia or in Latin America, and that's why I like it very much. I think MercadoLibre is just steady Eddie. Never crazy surprises with MercadoLibre, and noteworthy, we should note, it's the only company growing at more than 30% forward revenue growth. The rule of 40, there's only there's 3 companies that have it, but rule of 50, there's only 2 companies that have it. It's MercadoLibre and Caspie, so 51. And I guess it's the second cheapest. I guess it's just a tad more expensive than Coupang, but can't really compare to Coupang, because Coupang has lower gross margin, lower EBITDA, much lower revenue growth, doesn't achieve a rule of 40, right? So paying 1 point more for MercadoLibre, I think is worth it. I like MercadoLibre very much. I don't follow it quarter to quarter because I don't need to. It's one of the rare stocks that I have in my portfolio that I don't need to follow quarter to quarter. I guess I could put HIMS in there too, but I cover HIMS because a lot of people like HIMS. But anyways, Tesla, same thing. I'm very confident in a lot of the companies I invest in, obviously. Otherwise I wouldn't invest. So anyways, Coupang. Let's talk about Coupang. So Coupang, I'm going to be very careful. I don't speak Korean. I can't read Korean newspapers. I've never been to Korea, so it's much tougher for me to analyze Coupang. I just want to be very careful because I know that on the internet you got to be careful criticizing a Korean stock. There's a very active Korean investor community, so I have nothing to say. It doesn't grow fast enough for my taste. It's cheap, but the rule of 40 is not there. And yes, I know they have a lot of opportunities out there. I understand they're doing very well with groceries, but it's and from what I understand, they're getting into Taiwan. From what I understand, but it's still even more narrow. It's a pretty narrow region of the world to invest in. You know what I mean? And the rule of 40 is not there. You're gonna tell me Caspie is also pretty narrow. So from that standpoint, Caspie is also pretty narrow. But Caspie has insane margins. Coupang doesn't have insane margins. Caspie has insane margins. So moving on. So Coupang, Joker, I guess is what I would say. I don't know. I don't know about Coupang. I don't know enough, and I don't speak Korean, so it's not going to be helpful. Amazon, behemoth, beacon of stability for a portfolio. Amazon has been lagging a lot of the big tech stocks out there, and I don't understand why. They have a Project Kuiper, which they renamed. I can't remember what they renamed it, but they're launching satellites now. Bezos is very much in a competition against Elon Musk. There's a Rivian investment. Well, I don't think that was a good thing, but they have unbeatable network of delivery. The delivery network of Amazon is unbeatable. I use it all the time as a customer. I consider their stock, which I have a small position in, I consider the stock to be how do you call it? To be a savings account type stock, like Google. But it's my position is Amazon is so tiny, I don't even need to mention it. Anyways, so this is Amazon for you. I think they and AWS, of course, is the growth is stalling a little bit at AWS, but they grow so well. So I like Amazon very much. And then Caspie. So let me conclude with Caspie. So with Caspie. What happens with Caspie? Caspie is a Kazakhstan company. They are the absolute super app and monopoly in e-commerce and banking in Kazakhstan and government. So they do marriage license, driver license, title, post office. They do, of course, e-commerce, and they do banking. So it's the super app of Kazakhstan. And they're very much dirt cheap. And I don't understand why they're so cheap. And they're going to Turkey. So they bought Epsi Burada in Turkey. And they hope to recreate Caspie in Turkey and have the same success in Turkey. It's an ADR. It's US listed. But what fascinates me the most about Caspie is the gross margin. The gross margin and the EBITDA margin fascinates me the most. These margins are fascinating. That's why we get a rule of 85. And these numbers, by the way, I checked so many times. Like, these are the real reported numbers. Like, this company is literally printing cash. Now, one of the things I don't like is they've historically paid a dividend, but I'm hoping they won't pay a dividend this year because they have to pay off the Hepsi Burada acquisition and the expansion to Turkey. So Caspie, leading business in Kazakhstan, optionality in Turkey. And, like I said for Coupang, it's a small market. I'm not sure I want to be exposed into this market either. But it is so cheap. With that profitability, it is so cheap. And actually, Kazakhstan, from what I saw, it's a pretty stable country. It's a very natural resources-driven country. The currency is pretty stable. So that's also another plus for him. So I like Caspie a bit. I like it a little bit. I think this one is interesting and dirt cheap. And I did a full coverage for Caspie on the channel as well a few months ago. So anyways, hopefully this helps out a little bit. Hopefully this helps you see where I stand. Who wins? Answering that question, who wins? The winner for me is clear. The winner for me is MercadoLibre. That's who wins in the lot here. So anyways, this was not investment advice. This is not financial advice. This is only entertainment. I'm hoping you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful, wonderful day.